Come back. A few days ago, the Northern Elders Forum issued an ultimatum to the president to either end the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast and bring back the Chibok girls that were kidnapped about 4 months ago, or forget about his 2015 presidential ambition. To examine the ultimatum and, of course, the realities on ground, we have in the studio two eminent Nigerians. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Funmi Ogbue, promoter, Support Our Troops Foundation. It's nice having you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, I also have a known face on this platform, Mr. King Onoja, a public affairs analyst. Nice having you.
It's a pleasure being here.
It's a long time we have been here. Let me start straight with Funmi. The Northern Elders Forum have issued an ultimatum, perhaps worried about the prevalence of insurgency in their region. And of course, the girls are not back after 4 months in the hands and the clutches of terrorists. How do you see this ultimatum vis-a-vis issuing an ultimatum and, of course, saying that Mr. President should not contest if he doesn't bring back the girls and end insurgency? What's your take on this?
I think we all need to join hands and work with the military to fight terrorism. I don't think ultimatums or threats is going to help. I mean, I come from a military family, and I remember even from when I was very young, all of us, you know, praying, encouraging, and working with my dad and with my cousins and with everybody that we knew that was in the army or in the navy or in the in any of the forces, you know, to help them to do the work that they're doing to protect us. I mean, these people have pledged their allegiance to the country, and they're doing all that they can to keep us safe. And so I don't think any elders group should sit on one side and be giving threats or giving ultimatums, because the way I see it is black and white. It's either you are for the government and for the troops, or you are for terrorism. It's that simple.
Thank you very much. King Onoja, what's your take on this? Don't you think that the ultimatum is justified? You waited for 4 weeks, for 4 months, for the girls to be back.
In my opinion, first of all, it's a rather disappointing position to take. In the first place, sitting down and issuing an ultimatum to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is out of place. We seem not to regard that office. That's an office. That's the highest office in the land. That's the embodiment of our Constitution. You have absolutely no right, not here, not anywhere, to give ultimatums to our president to do things that he's constitutionally bound to do.
This development against their frustrations as elders of the region ravaged by insurgency?
I would also, if you ask me to view that, I would also be asking to view it against their ultimatum, against whatever actions they have done or are supposed to have done in a bid to help government end the insurgency. I can validly say, I mean, I would want to ask the Northern Elders Forum to tell us, what efforts have they taken? Our soldiers we have children of parents, we have sons, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunties who are deployed, who are daily giving their lives. Fathers, uncles who are daily giving their lives to end this insurgency. You cannot and should not sit down and issue ultimatums. We're fighting an unconventional warfare, the likes of which we were not previously prepared for, the likes of which we're getting used to. To issue us any ultimatums is completely out of place.
Thank you very much. Now, for me, do you see this as politicizing the old fight against insurgency? This ultimatum and bringing the presidential ambition of 2015 into it?
I mean, I've sort of thought about this a lot, and it appears that some of the top leaders of the group that have issued this ultimatum are opposition. So perhaps they are politicizing it, and for me, it's a shame, because like I said, my work and my life's ambition is to get support. Yeah.
I'm coming to that. For
our troops
who are defending
and are laying down their lives daily for our country and to protect us against any type of terror group or any type of enemy action. Okay. And so any effort by anybody not to make sure that all hands are on deck to divide the country should be seen as politics
Okay.
and politicizing the issue.
Thank you very much. Mr. King Onoja, put yourself in the shoes of this Northern Elders Forum and take an holistic view at what has been happening in the North in recent times. What will you have done differently from what they have done now?
I would support government. I'll support the troops. I'll support the initiatives being put in place to overcome this scourge. It's the first thing that anybody should do. Terrorism has never been overcome where members of the society sit back and point fingers at government. It's never going to be overcome. Terrorism, the first thing to overcome terrorism is that we must ensure that in our local communities there is no support given to a terrorist group or organization whatsoever. Once you stand and you politicize issues and you rally support against government, guess what? You're supporting terror. Particularly for a terrorist organization that says one of its key goals, key objectives is getting this particular president out of office. Boko Haram have said so. And so if you're saying to the president you must leave, I'm sorry, you've aligned. You're either for us, like she said, you're either for us or against us. It's as simple as that. And it beats my imagination that anybody can say that this administration isn't doing anything to overcome the scourge of terrorism. It beats my imagination because even a simple cursory search on Google will show you tons and tons of effort being put in place. Tons and tons of effort. This government has lobbied the United States government long before the Chibok girls were taken. In 2013, this government approached the United States government and asked for help to overcome the scourge of terrorism in the northeastern part of Nigeria. It recruited a foreign agency, a lobbying agency in the United States, Patton Boggs, to help lobby for support on Congress, in Congress and in the White House. He asked for non-lethal equipment to help combat Boko Haram. It asked for intelligence and reconnaissance information. And that request was ignored in 2013. Fast forward a few months, the Chibok girls are taken. And then people are shouting, you know, there's a hullabaloo. And we're saying government isn't doing anything. Meanwhile, government, I can give you a catalogue of events back to 2011 when under the auspices of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, a Nigerian, the president of the Security Council of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, went out and approached the 633rd meeting of the United Nations, asking for a draft resolution to help combat the proliferation of light arms in the West African sub-region. Okay. This was in 2011. Okay. Those light arms are the arms that are being used to pillage and plunder our people today. Nobody can say this government is not doing anything.
Funmi Ogbue, this is your foundation, Support Our Group Foundation. It fascinates me. What is it all about?
Support Our Troops Foundation is essentially to, like I said, to gather support from people like me and you know, the ordinary citizens of the country, our leaders, our civil society groups, youth groups, religious groups, to honor the sacrifice that the men and women of the armed forces are making to keep us safe. Like I said, you know, a lot of them obviously are in the battlefront, so to speak, and they've left families behind. So we have to make sure that we look after their families. I mean, there's a very organized welfare department in every single one of the armed forces, but it's never enough. You know, when your husband or your wife has gone out to war, you want to know that, you know, the society at large recognizes that. So our foundation is, we've got 5 main areas of work. The first area is for to provide support for serving troops, so the people who are currently in battle, and you know, we want to do that by, you know, giving them bravery awards, heroes, sending them thank yous, sending them packs, you know,
as done in other clients,
as done in other countries. And also we have another initiative that looks after the families of people who are not home. So when they've gone to the front, just making sure that we're looking on their families and support the welfare department of the armed forces to look after them. Then we have another pillar which is looking after the transitioning troops. So for those ones that have served and are leaving, what is life going to be like after our service. Then we have one for the veterans. You know, people like my father who have been in quite a few wars, who have served his country. So, you know, someone just bringing them out again to honor them on an annual basis.
Can I say that it is this insurgency you are fighting that brought it to the fall again, that compel you people to form a group like this?
Yes, in fact it is, because like I said, I grew up in the barracks.
Military family, yeah.
So I see the plight of the military people, and I see the professionalism and the work that they put in. I also lived in Liberia, and when I lived in Liberia, the Nigerian...
Before the Ebola crisis.
The Nigerian troops were very, very, very highly regarded. Okay. They were very professional. People loved them. People honored them. People encouraged them. And when I traveled to the States, I mean, even on the plane, the pilots would say we have a serving army person or navy person on board. We should all give them a clap. We should let them board. My brother has been in the US Army. He's gone to war in Afghanistan. I see the way that they revere them. And then you fast forward, you come back to your own country, and you see the way that people are reacting and criticizing the troops, saying they're not professional enough, they're not this, they're running. I'm like, what is going on here? We have to do something about this. So we came together, a few of us, and under the patronage of the Honorable Minister of State for Defense, Senator Musili Obanikoro, to form, you know, he's been very supportive of us. The service chiefs, General Olukolade, the PERMSEC of the Ministry of Defense, they've been all very supportive, giving us all the support we need and encouragement. Okay. You know, because they all realize that it's not a war that the military alone will win. We have to all come together to support them. Right. You know, as my colleague here said, these terrorists are living in communities. They're people's children. They are people's, you know, they still look up to authority in a way. So, you know, if we all don't sort of stand against them and caution them and tell them, we don't, you know, we don't support you. When there's terrorist activities in those communities, we report it. You know, we all stand together and say no to terror. We won't win this war.
Thank you very much. King, the Northern Elders Forum and the statement said, what is happening across the North is not a mere coincidence. They have their suspicions that it's too much. Do you share the belief?
Of course not. Of course not. Northern Nigeria has been playing...
So you believe nobody's orchestrating anything?
Of course not. I even think the very notion that a government would instigate something against its own people is preposterous, particularly when it's a government that is providing solutions to long-term problems that have plagued Northern Nigeria. The scourge, at a point, there were almost, figures bandied around, said that there were almost 10 million Almajiri street children in Northern Nigeria with no access to education, with no hope for any future employment, who were unemployed and permanently unemployable. It is from this pool of resources that the terrorists are doing their recruiting. Then we have a government that comes and says, you know what, let's implement a couple of educational programs, and says, let us formalize the Almajiri system of education and send children to school. The government has built, in 3 years, has built 125 Almajiri schools across Northern Nigeria. You cannot validly say to any reasonable person that that same government is orchestrating some sort of genocide against the people it is providing education for. Let's stick to their descriptive terms.
Yes, right.
That say that this is some sort of political and economic move to decimate the North. Okay? But there is somebody who is actively trying to educate the North, who is citing agricultural, the biggest rice farm in the whole of the Western African sub-region is in Nasarawa State. That is in Northern Nigeria. The second biggest one is in Taraba State. That is in Northern Nigeria. Of the 12 new universities established by this administration, 9 are in the northern parts of Nigeria. How do you reconcile both? How do you reconcile? The evidence, I'm sorry, the evidence does not, in fact, I'm not sorry, but the evidence does not support the position. It simply doesn't. And we need to move away from this politics of rancor, where people are willing to say anything, to reach any level, you know, to overheat the polity, just to achieve some sort of political advantage. It makes no sense.
Thank you very much. Now, Funmi, there's a presidential initiative on Northeast, and of course for the victims of Boko Haram. I mean, it's being headed by Lieutenant General Dajuma. Do you see this as enough platform to cushion the effect of the insurgency in the Northeast?
I mean, I think our President Goodluck Jonathan, is perhaps in history of Nigeria the one president that has felt that has held the passion in his heart for the ordinary Nigerian. You know, if you like he said, if you look at all the things that he's done, he's not the president for the Ijos, or the president for the Christians, or the president for the Bayelsans, or the president for the Yorubas. He's the president for all Nigerians. And I really commend his efforts in developing the North. Because I do think, yes, the North has had power in this country for 40 years and has failed to really develop the North. So I think we must commend President Jonathan for this initiative, the presidential initiative for Northeast development. And I think it's holistic. I mean, I've had a look at it. I think, you know, it's looking at economic development, wealth creation, power generation. I mean, I've been looking more recently into the Mambila hydro project that has been on the table for the last, 32 years. Nobody has been able to do it, and now they're going to flag it up next month.
And let's be serious here. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the parents of the Chibok girls. How do you feel as a nation we have not been able to rescue the girls from the clutches of terrorists 4 months after? How do you feel about that?
The reality of this world is that that's a very difficult question. This is a very emotive issue. Yeah. And every time I go to bed,
don't you think the Northern Elders Forum are being fired by emotions?
Every time I go to bed and I look at my little one and I imagine, wow, what if I were in these shoes? Yes. I can imagine what the pain and the terror. I can imagine the suffering. But you see, at the end of the day, it's we've got to be a little bit circumspect in our thinking. There's a government. There are 4 countries. There are 4 other countries in Nigeria helping look for these girls. A wise man once said, "A man has nothing if he doesn't have hope." Why take away that hope from them? There's a government that is doing something. They're seeing the efforts. We're seeing the bodies of military men being brought back and being buried. Those men are giving their lives. Why take away their hope?
Thank you very much. Do you, as a mother, I want to suppose, how do you feel that 4 months after the Chibok girls are still not found? Do you think this can lead, could have led the Northern Elders Forum to come to this position?
I mean, I can't speak for them. What I can speak for is myself. You know, that the fact that the girls are not found, or the fact that it may happen again, like I said, is what has driven me to say, what can I do to help? How can I help to help the people? I mean, I can't go to the front myself to go and rescue the girls.
You can support the troops.
I can support the troops who are there, who are doing this. I mean, one of the work, like I said, of the foundation is looking for training opportunities for the troops, looking for packs for them to be able to do their jobs, to be able to concentrate, looking for anything that we can do to just support them so they can do what they're doing.
Boost their morale.
And boost their morale and call for more funding for them. And I think all of us in Nigeria should do all that we can to bring the girls back.
Thank you very much. Viewers, the topic has been the recent ultimatum issued by the Northern Elders Forum to Mr. President to either end insurgency in the Northeast and bring back the girls or forget about 2015 presidential ambition. And the panelists have been Funmi Ogbue, the founder, or should I say the promoter of Support Our Troops Foundation. It's nice having you.
Thank you.
I would love to shake you, but you told me you were in Liberia. So let me give you the Ebola shake. I know you're okay, and of course you're Ebola free. And of course I have King Onoja, a public affairs analyst, and of course a regular face of this program. Nice having you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.